Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I'm so happy that you were able to join me this morning. It's a beautiful day to be alive. It's a beautiful day to be in the presence of the Most High. So we are going to jump right back into our studies where we left off at. When we were last together, we left off at chapters 19 and 20. No, I'm sorry, chapters 18 and 19, where we had learned about the conversation that Abraham had with the Most High, and then also the events that took place in Sodom and Gomorrah, which drove the Most High to destroy those cities, saving only Lot and his family, saving only the righteous at that time. Okay, so go ahead and get your holy scriptures, right? Your sword. This is your sword for the Ruach HaKodesh, the Most High's Holy Spirit. So go ahead and get your holy scriptures, get your pens, your papers, your markers, your coffee, your water, whatever it is that you're drinking, and let's jump right back into the studies. Okay, so today we're going to study Genesis chapter 20 through 23. Genesis chapter 20. And Abraham departed from there to the land of Negeb, and dwelt between Kadesh and Shur, and stayed in Gerar. So remember, Abraham was at home in his tent, remember, in Mamre. And so he's departing from there, and he's headed toward the land of Negeb. And Abraham said concerning Sarah, his wife, she is my sister. And Abimelech, sovereign of Gerar, sent and took Sarah. But Elohim came to Abimelech in a dream by night and said to him, see, you are a dead man because of the woman whom you have taken, for she is a man's wife. However, Abimelech had not come near her, and he said, Yahuah, would you slay a righteous nation also? Did he not say to me, she is my sister? And she, even herself, said, he is my brother. In the integrity of my heart and in the innocence of my hands, I have done this. And Elohim said to him in a dream, though I know that you did this in the integrity of your heart, and so I kept you from sinning against me, for this reason I did not let you touch her. Verse 7, and now return the man's wife, for he is a Nabai, which is a prophet, and let him pray for you and live. But if you do not return her, know that you shall certainly die, you and all that are yours. And so, verse 8, so Abimelech rose early in the morning and called all his servants and spoke all these words in their hearing. And the men were greatly frightened. And Abimelech called Abraham and said to him, what have you done to us? In what have I sinned against you, that you have brought on me and on my reign a great sin? You have done matters to me that should not be done. And Abimelech said to Abraham, what did you have in view that you have done this matter? So let's pause here. As we can see now, we remember Abraham doing this in the past, right? So Abraham have done this again. He's came to the land of Negeb, and he goes to the sovereign there, Abimelech, and he tells the sovereign that Sarah is his sister, but really she's his wife. And so now the Most High has came to Abimelech in a dream, speaking to him in regards to this. And Abimelech, tells the Most High, Yahuah, I'm innocent. He lied to me and told me that this was his sister. And so now Abimelech is speaking to Abraham, and he's like, why did you do this? What did you have in mind to make you do this, right? That's what he says in verse 10. What did you have in view that you have done this matter? And Abraham said, only because I said, the reverence of Elohim is not in this place, and they shall kill me for the sake of my wife. So Abraham is telling Abimelech, like, I did this because I didn't think that you reverenced the Most High, and therefore you're going to kill me for the sake of my wife, right? Verse 12, and yet she is truly my sister. She is the daughter of my father, but not the daughter of my mother, and she became my wife. And it came to be, when Elohim caused me to wander from my father's house, that I said to her, this is your kindness that you should do for me in every place wherever we go. Say of me, he is my brother. Then Abimelech took sheep and cattle and male and female servants and gave them to Abraham, and he returned Sarah his wife to him. And Abimelech said, see, my land is before you. Dwell wherever it is good in your eyes. And to Sarah he said, see, I have given your brother 1,000 pieces of silver. See, it is to you a covering of eyes before all who are with you and before all others, and you are cleared before everyone. And Abraham prayed to Elohim, and Elohim healed Abimelech and his wife and his female servants, so they bore children. For Yahuah had closed up all the wombs of the house of Abimelech because of Sarah, Abraham's wife. So here the Most High has healed Abimelech. He has forgiven Abimelech. He has healed him. He has closed up all the wounds of his household and has made him whole. Chapter 21. And Yahuah visited Sarah as he had said, and Yahuah did for Sarah as he had spoken. So Sarah conceived and bore Abraham a son in his old age, at the appointed time of which Elohim had spoken to him. So you remember back in chapter, I think it was, 17, where Sarah didn't believe that she was going to conceive at an old age, and she kind of chuckled, right? So here we see that the Most High's word did not return void. It has been fulfilled. It always will be fulfilled. Verse 3, and Abraham called the name of his son who was born to him, whom Sarah bore to him, Yishak, which in the English translation, it is Isaac. Okay. Verse 4, and Abraham circumcised his son Yishak when he was 8 years old, as Elohim had commanded him. And Abraham was 100 years old when his son Yishak was born to him. And Sarah said, Elohim has made me laugh, and everyone who hears of it laughs with me. And she said, who would have said to Abraham that Sarah would nurse children? For I have borne him a son in his old age. And the child grew and was weaned, and Abraham made a great feast on the day that Yishak was weaned. And wean, in Hebrew, it means, well, in English, it means that a child is given table food. Verse 9, and Sarah saw the son of Hagar, the Mizrite, whom she had borne to Abraham, mocking. So if you remember back in our studies, Hagar had bore Abraham. Hagar was Sarah's maidservant, remember? And when Sarah couldn't conceive at that time, she had gave Abraham a permission to conceive with Hagar, her maidservant. Verse 9. And Sarah saw the son of Hagar the Mizrite, whom she had borne to Abraham, mocking. So she said to Abraham, drive out this female servant and her son, for the son of this female servant shall not inherit with my son Yishak. And the matter was very evil in the eyes of Abraham because of his son. So here, Sarah goes to Abraham and she's telling him, hey, your son is mocking the birth of our new child, right? Our new son. So I want you to order them to leave. Order Hagar and your son to depart, because they will not inherit with my son Yishak. And Abraham, this made him upset to hear this and to learn what his son, the mocking that his son had done. Verse 12, but Elohim said to Abraham, let it not be evil in your eyes because of the boy and because of your female servant. Whatever Sarah has said to you, listen to her voice. For in Yishak your seed is called. And of the son of the female servant, I also make a nation, because he is your seed. And Abraham rose early in the morning and took bread and a skin of water, which he gave to Hagar, putting it on her shoulder, also the boy, and sent her away. And she left and wandered in the wilderness of Beersheba. Verse 15, and the water in the skin was used up, and she placed the boy under one of the shrubs. And she went and sat down about a bow shot away, for she said, let me not see the death of this boy. And she sat opposite him and lifted up her voice, and she wept. And Elohim heard the voice of the boy. And the messenger of Elohim called to Hagar from the Shemayims, and he said to her, what is the matter with you, Hagar? Do not fear, for Elohim has heard the voice of the boy where he is. Arise, lift up the boy and hold him with your hand, for I make a great nation of him. And Elohim opened her eyes, and she saw a well of water. And she went and filled the skin with water and gave the boy a drink. And Elohim was with the boy, and he grew and dwelt in the wilderness and became an archer. So he dwelt in, so now he's grown, and he grew up in the wilderness and became an archer, which is like a hunter. Okay. Verse 21. And he dwelt in the wilderness of Paran, and his mother took a wife for him from the land of Mitzrayim. So that's the wilderness that they dwelt in, the wilderness of Paran. And now his mother Hagar has found him a wife that she in the land of Mitzrayim, which is Egypt. Verse 22. And it came to be at that time that Abimelech and Pekal, the commander of his army, spoke to Abraham, saying, Elohim is with you in all that you do. And now swear to me by Elohim not to be untrue to me, to my offspring, or to my descendants. Do to me according to the kindness that I have done to you and to the land in which you have dwelt. And Abraham said, I swear. See, here, Abimelech and Pekal, the commander of Abimelech's army, is speaking to Abraham. And he's like, look, Elohim is with you in all that you do. I know that now, right? Because remember, Abraham has just deceived Abimelech So now he's telling Abraham, do unto me according to the kindness which I have done unto you, right? And swear to me. And Abraham said, I swear. And Abraham reproved Abimelech because of a well of water which Abimelech's servants had seized. And Abimelech said, I do not know who has done this deed, nor did you inform me, nor did I hear until today. So Abraham took sheep and cattle and gave them to Abimelech, and the two of them made a covenant. And Abraham put 7 ewe lambs of the flock by themselves. Verse 29. And Abimelech asked Abraham, what are these 7 ewe lambs which you have put by themselves? And he said, take these 7 ewe lambs from my hand to be my witness that I have dug this well. So he called that place Beersheba, because the two of them swore an oath there. So they swore an oath that Abraham owns this well. Verse 32, thus they made a covenant at Beersheba. And Abimelech rose with Pichol, the commander of his army, and they returned to the land of the Pelishtites. And he planted a tamarisk tree in Beersheba, and there called on the name of Yahuah, the everlasting El. And Abraham sojourned in the land of the Pelishites many days. Beautiful. So we've learned, that after Abraham commanded Hagar and his son Ishmael to leave, the Most High promised to take care of them and make a great nation of Ishmael. And so the Most High found favor in Hagar, and he consoled her, and he presented a well before her so that she could drink because she was thirsty. And Ishmael grew up to be an archer and marry a woman from Mitzrayim. Okay. And so now Abraham is sojourning in the land of the Pelishites. Chapter 22. And it came to be after these events that Elohim tried Abraham and said to him, Abraham. And he said, here I am. And he said, take your son now, your only son, Yishak, whom you love, and go to the land of Moriah, and offer him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains which I command you. And Abraham rose early in the morning and saddled his donkey and took 2 of his young men with him and Yishak his son. And he split the wood for the burnt offering and arose and went to the place which Elohim had commanded him. And on the 3rd day, Abraham lifted his eyes and saw the place from a distance. So Abraham said to his young men, stay here with the donkey while the boy and I go over there and worship and come back to you. And Abraham took the wood of the burnt offering and laid it on Yishak his son, and he took the fire in his hand and a knife, and the 2 of them went together. Verse 7. And Yishak spoke to Abraham his father and said, my father. And he said, here I am, my son. And he said, see, the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for the burnt offering? And Abraham said, my son, Elohim provides for himself the lamb for a burnt offering. And the 2 of them went together. And they went to the place which Elohim had commanded him. And Abraham built an altar there and placed the wood in order. And he bound Yishak his son and laid him on the altar upon the wood. And Abraham stretched out his hand and took the knife to slay his son. But the messenger of Yahuah called him from the Shemayims and said, Abraham, Abraham. And he said, Here I am. And he said, Do not lay your hand on the boy, nor touch him. For now I know that you revere Elohim, seeing that you have not withheld your son, your only son, from me. From him. And Abraham lifted his eyes and looked, and saw behind him a ram caught in a bush by its horns. And Abraham went and took the ram and offered it up for a burnt offering instead of his son. And Abraham called the name of the place Yahuah Yireh, as it is said to this day, on the mountain Yahuah provides. Praise Yah. This is wonderful. And the messenger of Yahuah, verse 15, and the messenger of Yahuah called to Abraham a second time from the Shemayims and said, By myself I have sworn, declares Yahuah, because you have done this and have not withheld your son, your only son, that I shall certainly barak you, which means bless. And I shall certainly increase your seed as the stars of the Shemayims, and as the sand which is on the seashore. And let your seed possess the gate of their enemies. And in your seed all the nations of the earth shall be barak, because you have obeyed my voice. Then Abraham returned to his young men, and they rose up and went together to Beersheba. And Abraham dwelt at Beersheba. And it came to be after these events that it was reported to Abraham, saying, See, Milcah too has borne children to your brother Nahor. Utz, his firstborn, and Buz, his brother, and Kemuel, the father of Aram, and Kestek, and Hazo, and Pildash, and Gitlath, and Bethuel. Verse 23. And Bethuel brought forth Ribkah. These 8 Milcah bore to Nahor, Abraham's brother. And verse 24. And his concubine, whose name was Rumah, and a concubine is it means maid servant or secondary wife. They're the same. That's what a concubine is. Someone's maid servant who also acts as their secondary wife. They may bear children if the primary wife cannot conceive. But that's what a concubine is. Verse 24. And his concubine, whose name was Reumah, also bore Tabah and Gaham and Tahash and Makah. Sometimes it's very hard to pronounce these names, but you have to try your best. So we'll stop here in our studies. That ends chapter 22. Praise Yahuah for what we have read today. It is just amazing. I'm at awe every time I read or even just think about what Abraham, the offering that Abraham was prepared to make as a mere man, right? Because we know that the Most High gave his only begotten son, the Messiah, Yahushua HaMashiach. And so to see a mere man do this, right? Abraham, give his son Yishak, just being obedient to the Most High in his instruction, right? And the Most High really was testing Abraham's reverence for him, his devotion to him, his commitment to him. Are you willing to give your all to the Most High? Are you willing to lay down your life for him? You know, are you willing to separate yourself from everything and everyone that you love and that you know so that you can follow him? You know, you have to be ready to do that at all costs, at any cost. Where this world is headed, and according to biblical prophecy, we are going to be faced with many signs and wonders and trials and tribulations, right? They're going to come through events and peoples and circumstances and stumbling blocks, whatever it is. You know, you have to keep your eye, you have to keep your heart, you have to keep your focus on the Most High, and you have to block out all the noise. You have to give up all that you love, you know, all the things, all the people. You know, you have to be willing and ready mentally, spiritually. You have to be ready to do that, like Abraham was. And so it's amazing to hear, right? And, you know, every day for me, every day is that journey. Every day is that purpose. Every day is that goal, you know, to wake up and be better and do better and follow the Most High. You know, just follow him and stay focused on him and leaving everything behind, right? Or we're going to end up like Lot's wife, a pillar of salt, because she couldn't keep her eye on the Most High. You know, she looked back. And so, you know, every time I read this, this chapter, you know, it grounds me, it regrounds me, and reminds me, what my purpose is and what I'm here for, right? And so I pray that it does the same for you, that it just deep inside you, that it resonates with you and it just shows you, or the Most High, I should say, and his Ruach shows you where he desires you to be, right? This is how strong in him he desires you to be. So that completes our studies for today. When we return, we're going to pick back up at chapter 24, right? And so as you go about your day today, remember who you are, right? Remember your purpose here, you know, and don't forget that, you know, regardless of the distractions that you may face throughout the day and the people that you may come encounter with, remember who you are and remember what the Most High desires of you. Okay? And you stay focused on how to be that person for him and what you need to do to get there. Okay? Until the next time, I love you, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.